Right, I've got the mic, I've got everything I need, light, camera, action. So what am I actually reviewing today? Oh! Why? Just why? Just, let's go. Let's just go. So guys, today's film review is indeed Star Trek. The 2009 reboot. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, which I'm assuming you do at this point, I love Star Trek. I love Star Trek. Always have done, always will do. It's one of my favourite franchises. However, there are some things that shouldn't be a thing. And this is one of those things. This is a thing made up of a thing that should be good. Let's just go through things first. Right. First of all, the casting in this. Now, this is the one thing I agree with. The one thing I agree with is the casting. The casting is pretty much perfect. Give or take a few things, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the casting in this is utterly brilliant, in my opinion. Now, you have Chris Pine as James T. Kirk, and it works really, really well. Some of those moments that you imagine William Shatner doing, he does in this film, and it is actually pretty damn good. That being said, the majority of the cast is good. You also have Zachary Quinto as Spock, who does a damn good job. You might remember him from Heroes. And then you've also got Zoe Saldana as Uhura, which that casting thing is just, that was one of the perfect things about this film. Uhura is played brilliantly. You've also got Chekhov, who is played by Anton Yelchin, who is sadly no longer with us, but things happen. He played that part really, really well. I was surprisingly, I don't know, surprisingly put into his shoes. It was weird. And then you also have Sulu, who is played by the same guy that played the Chinese fella in American Pie. I've actually forgot his name. I had his name in front of me and I forgot it. John Cho, I think it is. John Cho, I think it might be. Then you have Carl Urban as Bones. Carl Urban as whoever cast Carl Urban as Bones must have had him in his mind for so long, because he plays a perfect part. He just does. It's brilliant. Some of the mannerisms and things that he comes out with is just immense. Then you have, this is what I was saying, the majority of the casting is brilliant. However, one of the cast member, I like the actor. It's not about not liking the actor. The actor is brilliant. Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg, I don't think has the same impact as James Doohan did, but he was still cast as Scotty, and it does really kind of annoy me a little bit, because the casting could have been so much better in that respect. There's a lot of people that went for that space, and sadly they didn't get it. I think it might have been better with somebody else, but he did do a good job in later films, so yeah, there's that. Now, moving on to story. Now, I'm not going to give too much away, because obviously I want you to watch these films yourself and give me your opinion on them, which is why I'm doing this. The story is essentially a reboot of the original series, right from the beginning, and it has Leonard Nimoy in it, who obviously plays older Spock. And it's all got something to do with the convoluted lesson of time travel, which is always in Star Trek. Time travel is one of those things that has always been something of a weird thing in Star Trek, so it's used a lot in this one. But basically he stops a sun from exploding, and in the process makes a big black hole which sucks him and a Romulan into it. And essentially that starts off a whole new story for Kirk and his crew. Now, that's the story in a nutshell. I'm not going to go too much into it, because I want to talk about something that really annoys me about reboots and rehashes of films. And it doesn't just apply to this. It doesn't. There are other things which get on my nerves. Now, the overuse of explosions and other just senseless violence. Now, if you're a Star Trek fan, Star Trek is all about humanity calming down, becoming one with the universe, essentially, and creating that fundamental thing that everybody lives happy. And this kind of, even though that's what the Federation stands for in Star Trek, this doesn't take it into the extremes like Star Trek The Next Generation did, or the original series, or Deep Space Nine, Voyager. It doesn't. And for some unknown reason, every time I watch this film, it's like watching Star Wars, essentially. It's like watching Star Wars, and it just doesn't make any sense. I'm all up for a bit of action, always, but in the right places. Star Trek is not the right place for action. It's more about philosophy and the mysteries of the universe and things like that, and it doesn't suit this film, and it doesn't suit any Star Trek at all. And sadly, that's what lets it down. The fact that it is a good film, but I just don't think it should have the name Star Trek in it. Now, with that being said, I don't want to sit here and say that it's a bad film, because it's not. It's not a bad film. It's just, in a word, a bad Star Trek. It just doesn't make too much sense. Even though the casting's right and the story is actually something that you can sit there and enjoy, sadly the morals of Star Trek just don't apply to this film. And it's sad. It really is. It's really, really sad. But honestly, give it a watch. Find it, give it a watch. Tell me your thoughts down below. If you've already watched it, tell me your thoughts down below, because I'd love to hear them. In the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. It's time for the rating. And if I'm honest, I struggled with this. I've had this video in the works for about 3-4 weeks, and I struggled rating it because I do love the film, but I also love Star Trek, and this is kind of like the destruction of Star Trek to me. It should have been named Star Wars with the explosions and all that kind of stuff. So what do I give it? Out of 5, what do I give this? Well, I decided to give it a 2. I didn't want to pull it down to a 1 because that would just be murderous to this film. It is a good film in its own right. It's just not built upon what Star Trek is about. So I give it a number 2, guys. Big fat number 2. Sadly, I'd like to give it more, but that's life. So guys, in the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at RetroGaming2009, and I shall see you guys in the next video. In the meantime, guys, happy gaming. Hey guys, if you like this video, why not subscribe for more great content?